Hello, this is Brian Guger, a student at University of Advancing Technology majoring in game design. This is my student innovation project video, and essentially my project is to come up with a game based around defending against a stealthy opponent. My original thought came from the idea that there's just a severe lack within the stealth genre of setting up a defense. All of the time, you get to play as a stealthy assassin or a thief or Batman, whatever it is, you get to be the person sneaking around the defenses that are set up by the programmers or the game designers. And I felt like it would be a really great opportunity for people to have to set up those defenses themselves. It's kind of like a tower defense kind of thing, except for, in this case, it's going to be a board game. I personally lack the programming skills to make it into an actual video game, so though the idea started as that, with enough tweaking it's been able to work really well as a board game. Essentially, it has two players and two phases that you go through the game. The first is a defense phase and the second phase is an offense phase. The reason for having both setting up defenses and going through them is so that there's not two players who have long periods of downtime where one does one thing and the other does the other, but rather that both players are constantly doing something and still having lots of fun. Now the game is still in flux, so there's a lot of things that are still subject to change, so I can't go over anything too specifically, not because I can't, because of restrictions on talking about it, I just don't have exact solutions for everything yet. But the first thing is the defenses, which is obviously the most important point, as it's the key of my innovation. So the defenses that you have available are cameras, tripwires, patrol routes, things like that you would find in any other stealth game, but you set those up yourselves. Essentially, you're leading the opponent through an obstacle course that you're creating that leads to your MacGuffin or an object that the person is going after. It's really important that it's still achievable, so there has to be limits in place, but at the same time you don't want to put any limits on the players, or too many limits on the players, to keep them from setting up a defense that really feels like it works well and they did a good job. But that leads to the second part, which is offense. And it's really important to have this segment of the game because you need to test your defenses. It's no fun to just set something up and then it's just there. You want to have somebody try and go up against it. It's a competition. Will your defenses win or will they win? And once again, since it's two players, I didn't want a dearth of doing nothing for one of the players for half the game. So I wanted both players to set up a defense and then both players to go on offense. The only thing that's incredibly established right now is that I want to use dice and attributes. And the dice are six-sided dice that are blank on two sides, have one pip on two sides, and have two pips on two sides. And essentially this leads to an average roll of 1. So if you have an ability score, say agility, of 3, you then roll 3 of these dice, and the average value you'll get is 3. It makes it simple to calculate things for both me and the player. In summary, I'll be making a game where you set up a defense against a stealthy opponent. It's the key innovation, as lots of games do lots of stealth, but this is the first I've ever found of anything where you actually set up like cameras and things like that to kind of box in somebody who might be sneaking in. I think it'll be a really fun game and I hope that you'll enjoy it.